Welcome everyone to episode 72 of the Phoenix Report. I am Jack Connor, and I have to tell you guys, one of the great things about this podcast, from when I started it almost 5 years ago, which is crazy to think about, but it's one of the things I wanted to focus on while I was doing this was the fact that over the years, for as long as I've been in bands, and now it's going on 15 years. Who's counting though? But I've been in the game for a while, so I've met a lot of really interesting people over the years, and that's sort of what this podcast was about. And it's not just musicians, although music happens to be what I tend to focus on because that's what I like to do the most. But it's always been sort of an extension of me and all the things I enjoy. And one of the things I enjoy, in addition to being in bands, is kind of helping to discover newer bands. Not that the guy in this band is necessarily new, but he's a younger guy that I met a little while ago. Yeah, and he plays in this really great band called New Dilemma. They've been out for a while, and they recently picked up two new members. One of whom I've known for a while. My buddy Bobby Keller is on lead guitar for this band now, and Bobby's been on this show before. He's a great guy. And I know they also picked up drummer Ben Johnson, who's a producer locally here in the Central Florida area. I think he played on Bobby Keller's solo stuff as well. So these two guys just joined New Dilemma, and it was definitely a good pickup because both of those guys had been around for a while. And I'd seen New Dilemma play here and there, but I'm really excited about this new lineup. So I'm really excited. This band seems like they're definitely making some moves. They already have some singles out, some music videos, and I really like what I hear. It's sort of it almost, I don't want to say new metal necessarily, but it kind of reminds me of like the bands that were coming out when I was in high school in the late 90s and early 2000s. Definitely sort of like Korn and Orgy, and there's definitely this alternative metal, but sort of almost like a gothic take on it. Really. I mean, or at least that was some of the imagery that I was getting from seeing these guys' videos. But I'm sure he'll get more into that. But so my guest today is the bassist for New Dilemma, and I know he also plays guitar and keys and vocals and a lot of other things. Please welcome Clyde Clark.
Woo! How's it going, man?
Good. I want to give a little bit of context. You and I met a couple years ago, back when I was looking for new guys for Vertebreaker, weirdly enough.
Yeah, that was early 2019, maybe late 2018.
Yeah, probably would have been like March of 19. But yeah, you were. I think I found you through Bandmix, maybe, which is or one of those sources. But I knew that you were around and you were out playing for a while, and we got to talking, and you ended up going and joining New Dilemma. I don't know. Was New Dilemma around before you were in the band?
Yeah. I actually I found the guys through Facebook, and it was a girl named I don't want to pronounce this wrong. Tamara Beaumont. Tamara.
Sure. I don't know her, so we're just gonna go with that.
Yeah, but she shared a post that they were looking for a bass player, so I kind of contacted them because I was trying to get back into playing live and what have you. And it turned out that the guys, the headquarters they had is only 1 mile from my house, so it's like, a 15-minute walk if I had to.
Oh, there you go.
I went over there and I learned the set, and then they said, okay, well, Saturday we're playing in St. Augustine, and you're coming with. And I've been with them ever since.
Wait a minute. So what, from when you joined, they had a gig lined up for like 6 days after or something like that?
It was like 4 days.
Oh my gosh. Talk about an audition. But they knew you were the guy then.
I guess so. I mean, I could tell, their work ethic was very on point, and they definitely approached this with a mentality of, if you're on time, you're late. If you're late, it's unacceptable, and if you're, 5 minutes early, you're on time.
Yeah, I've heard that before. So that's cool. So because I remember talking to you when you were telling me about that, you were like, yeah, I'm looking for a band that's kind of ready to tour, and at the time I was like, well, I can't really promise that. So I understand why you ended up going with New Dilemma though, but it's pretty cool. And then But now all of a sudden, I guess there must have been some personnel changes, because then Bobby and Ben come into the band, How did that all come about?
Well, we're doing the album with Ben, and Ben's a drummer. He said if you ever need anybody, just ask me, or he had some friends too in case he was busy doing a record with someone else or whatever, because his main gig first and foremost is being a producer.
Yeah,
which
that's
he's
job.
very
Yeah.
hands-on, and he just shows you a lot of things that they don't teach at like Full Sail and outside of the box kind of visceral things. But there just came a point where we needed someone on drums, and he just kind of he showed up. He obviously, since he tracked the album, he knew all the songs right off the bat, and it was just a natural progression. And then he was doing the solo stuff with Bobby, and Bobby played a guest solo on the record. And when it came time, I don't know if you saw it, but we announced a tour with Smile Empty Soul.
Yes, I did see
And,
that.
yeah, so we needed someone. I was bouncing between bass and guitar at that point because we didn't know what we were going to do because, we lost our guitar player. He, wanted to kind of settle down and enjoy his kids and stuff while they were still young.
Sure.
And, so we were looking for someone, and, Bobby just fell right into place. And since then, he's just kind of been in the band.
There you go. Bobby's a great guy. He's another guy that I was I was kind of recruiting a little bit back when I was looking for guys, but he was pretty busy at the time. So, but yeah, Bobby's a great dude, great player. One of those guys who just has that chemistry. People are just naturally drawn to him.
Yeah, he has that thing about him. You know what I mean? When he walks into the room, you notice that presence, whether you see him or not.
Well, he's got the look, definitely. I mean, you're just
yeah.
with all the ink and with the clothes he wears and everything, he looks like a guy in a rock band. So it fits perfectly. But he's a great guy, so that helps. He doesn't have like an ego about him, at least none that I've seen. So New Dilemma. How long had the band been around? Been around for? Because I think Joey Factor is the lead singer.
Yeah, he's the one running the show.
Right. When do you know when he started the band? Were they a couple years old even before you were in?
Yeah, I believe they started the band on Halloween of 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and because he just wanted to write some songs and stuff like that, and the progression happened, and then they began playing shows, I believe, in 18, and just moving on, and trying to get on more shows and more exposure and that kind of thing. And
of course. So, but let's talk about some of your history for a second. I know you're a little bit younger, but you've been playing for a while. I remember talking. I think did you once tell me that your dad was a musician as well?
No, but my dad actually, he's seen Jimi Hendrix in 1970.
Yeah, oh,
so
nice.
He's always been pushing for me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But my oldest brother, he was in a touring band called Jesse Washington.
Okay.
It was like that early 2000s kind of scream stuff, But he did that for about 10 years, and I don't know, he kind of gave it up, but...
That's cool. So how old were you when you started playing, or did you start playing bass, or?
My first instrument was guitar. I got my first guitar for my 5th birthday from my oldest brother, and he showed me like a D and an A chord. I kind of jammed on that for a little bit, and then he ended up moving back in with us because he had crushed his ankle when he was going to college at UCF, and ended up moving his drum set into the house, and I kind of got to doodle around a little bit on there, and it just kind of progressed. But what drew me to bass was more like, you see guys, like Duff McKagan, or like where he's just low riding and he looks completely chill, and it's the coolest thing ever, and he's doing all those backup vocals, It's just, I don't know, there's something cool about it.
It is, yeah, no, it's one of those instruments. It's not always front and center, at least when it comes to a lot of like hard rock music, but it's so important, and it's very important for keeping the rhythm together and just filling out the sound overall, and
Absolutely.
and I love guys like Duff, who's also a great songwriter as well.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, I see you've been playing bass in a project too.
I have, yeah. Bass was actually my first instrument when I was 13. basically because no one else I knew how to play bass, and I guess I thought, well, this will be easier than guitar, and maybe in a way it was, but I really enjoyed playing bass, and I still do in mature musical pictures now. But yeah, so how old were you again when you first started playing?
5 years old. Well, I got an acoustic guitar for my fifth birthday from
Okay.
my oldest brother.
Right.
But then, he taught me a few chords, like I said, like a E, a D, and he taught me a few chords, like a D, an E, and an A.
Yeah.
And then, I kind of didn't really know what to do with it. It didn't really viscerally excite me, so it kind of just, sat around until one day I was going through a DVD bin at Walmart, and I got a Kiss DVD,
Hmm.
and it had, the music video for I Love It Loud, and
Yeah.
then Lick It Up, Heaven's on Fire, Tears Are Falling, and Crazy Nights. I turned it on, and I saw I Love It Loud, and there I was rolling on the floor with this big acoustic guitar, like in the video,
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that you and I have always, when I first met you, that was one of the things we got started about our Kiss fandom. I'm a huge Kiss fan as well. In fact, you, me, Bobby, and Barrett Jones from the Dev, I think, have a big group chat on Facebook right now, just always talking about Kiss stuff,
Absolutely.
which is great.
I know, like, some of my other band members, like, they don't understand it, because even, our drum tech is, like, into Kiss, and,
Yeah.
in one of the guitar cases, he has, like, Destroyer hanging up.
Yes.
Some of the bandmates are like, what's up with this band? Like, I don't understand it. I'm like, you won't.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things you try. I think people tend to write them off because of the costumes and the makeup and everything. But for me, it's like, you look at how long that band's been around. You look at how many records they've sold, and it's like you don't get to that point without writing great songs. And I love the songs that they've written over the years, both in and out of makeup. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and they've definitely. I mean, gosh, almost 50 years now they're coming up on. So, and they've been putting out a lot of music, and for most of that time. So, and they've evolved. They've gone through different phases in their career. So, but they have a mythology all their own too. I mean, how many bands do have their own comic book, or at least had their own comic book back in the 70s or 80s? Like you didn't see Marvel Presents the Eagles or something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because they had that, larger than life kind of, theatrical thing. And there was also that aura of mystery that no one could get away with today. No one knew what they looked like without the makeup on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only band that gets away with that now is like Ghost. That's just because
Yeah.
nobody knows who they are. And I think Slipknot tries that a little bit, but like they tried to hide the fact that their drummer is Jay Weinberg.
Yeah.
You know.
And then that new guy they have that replaced Chris Fane.
Yeah, they did get a new guy on there. I guess would he be doing like turntables or programming or whatever Chris Fane did?
He's like one of those people that's playing like the auxiliary percussion.
Yeah, yeah. So you got started playing when you were 5. Were there any other bands over the years that, or at least, let me rephrase that. Was there a particular point in time or thing that you remember? I mean, because you talked about picking up the Kiss DVDs and stuff like that. Did that make you go like, okay, I want to do this. I want to be in a band. And were there any bands before New Dilemma?
It was definitely a visceral thing, because I grew up listening to classic rock. Like I said, my dad saw, Hendrix live in 1970, seen, Van Halen with Roth in, I think, 84.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's seen a lot of stuff. So I always was listening to it. It was kind of instilled in me. But it didn't really viscerally set in until I connected that music with that image and the fire,
Mhm.
and I went, that's the shit. That's what I want to do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Before that, I was in quite a few bands. My first band, we started playing when I was in high school. So, I don't know, like 2011. We used to get made fun of around here because we were so young.
Yeah.
We used to have my guitar player who, He's since passed away, but we used to have his mom come with us to
Hmm.
places like 321 Local and,
Okay.
but more of the sketchier places she didn't come. Like, I don't know if you remember JC's or not.
I don't think so. No.
In Melbourne? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I moved to Melbourne in like 2012. That's when I really got familiar with like the Central Florida scene. I was in Tampa, St. Pete before that.
Oh, wow,
So
that's,
I didn't grow up in the area, but yeah, it's yeah, 321 Local was where my band played its first show. So, and its most
oh,
recent
really?
show, The Crying Monk now. But
I haven't checked it out since they changed it,
it looks
or
great.
since they opened it up.
Yeah, no, it looks great inside. They've really they've done a lot with it. It's really a nice room.
It's
Hopefully,
definitely a good time.
for sure, for sure. Hopefully, when there are more and more shows, fingers crossed, you can check it out because I think you'd really enjoy it.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but yeah, so that must have been wild. So it's definitely hard to play in bands and like really play in clubs when you're in high school and all that stuff, just because of the age limits and whatnot. But that band you were in after high school, or I should say you were in during high school, and then
Yeah, freshman year.
oh, gotcha. All right. So you were able to at least play out a little bit with that band, correct?
Yeah, we did some shows, locally in the Brevard area, and then, I was in and out of a few different bands that have, since broken up, or, they were in a transitional period where they didn't know what they wanted to do, and then they ended up splitting, after having some kind of notoriety. And then I formed a band called 5 Years Dead with Jonah Swanson, who was in well, now he's like a solo artist called Hot Mess,
Okay.
and we did some shows like Orlando, and we were planning on doing some tour, but it just kind of fell apart, and we were still young, all of us were under the age of 20, so we were still kind of getting a grasp of, real world and learning how to drive a car and, managing finances
Of
and things
course.
like that. So,
Now I gotta ask because I know you're a fan of a lot of the older generation of bands. Was the name 5 Years Dead? Did that come from the Motley Crue song?
yes, it
Ah,
did.
that's a deep cut.
Yeah, well, I got it out of the book The Heroin Diaries by Nikki Sixx because he would just kind of scribble the lyrics on,
Yeah,
like, the side pages.
I think that was that song from Girls. I think so. I'm trying to think which record that was on, but yeah, sort of a deeper Motley Crue album track. But I was glad that I caught that. But so I mean, so let's go into that for a little bit. Obviously, you get a lot of that from your dad, a lot of the classic rock you were exposed to. Obviously we mentioned Kiss and Motley, and what are some of your other influences out there that people might be surprised to hear?
Um, well, I like a lot of stuff like Bootsy Collins, and like Parliament,
Nice.
Funkadelic stuff. But a lot of that I can't really incorporate into my playing with what we're doing.
Right.
I try to, but I try not to force it in there. I try
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
serve the song.
Yeah. Sometimes the band doesn't always call for that sort of thing, but that's cool. That's cool. Bootsy's an incredible bass player,
Andy just has a image about him.
for sure.
No, but then, also I was influenced by, some guys like Buddy Holly and,
Okay.
like, Dion and the Belmonts, and people like that,
Wow.
from like the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool, man. Yeah, no, that's cool. I didn't. I mean, Dion and the Belmonts. I didn't expect to hear that reference. So that's awesome. So you've been in New Dilemma since 2019. I know you've gotten to play out a few times with those guys, and you made your record. And now with Bobby and Ben in the band, you guys had this tour. You ended up planning that with Smile Empty Soul. I'm assuming because when COVID hit, that must have thrown a wrench into your plans. I mean, how many shows I mean, do you think, like, on average, you were playing before all this started happening back in March?
well, the last show we played was October of 19, but there for a while we were just hammering them out. I I couldn't even count how many shows I did when I joined the band, and that, spanned from March of 2019 up until, that 7 months up until October.
Yeah.
But we took some time. We did the album. The natural shift in the lineup happened, and, we signed with Pavement Entertainment and, that whole thing. And we released the album, and when we heard about the tour, at first we were told, okay, it's off, due to COVID, due to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we received word it's on, and we're leaving. We had to leave July the 8th, and the first show was on the 10th. And up until, July 1st, it was still a go.
Yeah.
And just in that 11th hour, we already had our travel plans figured out, people we were bringing as crew and techs and everything. And, it kind of just put the brakes on it real quick.
I mean, I imagine you probably had to see it coming a little bit just with everything that was happening. So I'm sure it wasn't that much of a shock. But yeah. Let's not bury the lead here. Let's talk about you guys getting signed. Pavement Records, would you say?
Pavement Entertainment.
Pavement Entertainment. All right. So, New Dilemma, you said that the band had started around 2017. So it's, really for a band that hasn't been around all that long, to get attention like that is pretty impressive. Do you know how that all came about, or was that something that Joey ended up handling, or?
Well, Joey and our manager at the time, and as we were cutting tracks, it was we sent over a couple demos and we're shopping them around, and it was the rough track for our song "Playing Victim." I think it's like the 4th track on our EP. We sent that out, and they liked it. They had a few suggestions to kind of clean it up, to where it would be more geared towards a larger demographic, take out some screaming and things like that and tone down certain things. And signed the deal with them, and the album came out. Well, we signed the deal, I believe. That was the first track that we cut, and we are negotiating the deal through the rest of the recording. So after we finished that track and we knew there was a deal waiting, the pressure was on. Like, we knew it could not be a flop because, there was a lot at stake that was right in front of us at that time.
Sure. That's wild that you guys got that sort of attention, out of the gate. Did you know that Pavement was going to be the place that you went to, or because you said that you were shopping the signal around? Who were you sending stuff to?
We shopped around, a couple majors, and obviously, with no tour experience and not much buzz of being such a new band, they're not going to go for it. So we started looking, at indies and stuff like that, and we came across Pavement because they have, Puddle of Mud. They had Black Tide. I saw you interviewed Zach.
Yeah. I've known Zach for a couple years now. I've had Steven, their original drummer, on as well, and
oh yeah.
Actually, I know Austin. Well, I've met all those guys, but like I know Austin. He's in Devil's Envy now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was a fan of that band, and now I'm friends with a lot of those guys, which is really awesome.
They're all pretty solid dudes, from what I've heard.
I mean, that's amazing that you guys, were willing to bet on yourselves that quickly and just go for it. And I'm glad to see that that's worked out so far. I mean, that's pretty bold of you guys to take the initiative like that and just to be able to shop your stuff around and thankfully, I mean, it's hard to tell because labels are just not what they used to be, and the fact that you guys managed to get some attention from somebody is pretty impressive. I guess did it involve did you have to put a press kit together or get some kind of special presentation for it or because I know there are all these websites out there that'll try to charge you membership fees for stuff for Sonic bids and stuff like that, and I don't know if you guys had to go about it that way.
No, it was more of through we had our EPK done for a while. Joey was always very on top of the. And, because he always wanted to present it in a professional manner, right, and everything like that, And he's very good at holding himself to a certain level of quality and regard. But, with our manager, we sent off the press kit and stuff like that, and they knew we were about to go into the studio. So it was kind of one of those open-ended things of, the president of Pavement telling our manager, like, okay, when they have, a rough cut of something, send it, before you shop it, whatever. And we sent it to them, and we got the offer, and then we shopped it, and it turned out that was the best offer for us at that time. And like you said, though, the record industry, it's not what it used to be. So, I mean, that was definitely a chance for them and for us, because, physical units of CDs aren't, how they used to be, especially when you can stream it online, without leaving the house.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've always felt like, one of the things that, especially bands need to be aware of is that I think bands need really like a good vehicle for their music. And by that, I mean, if for some reason you're not able to get it on like radio distribution or whatever it is, it helps to have some sort of way to get people's attention, whether it's in a commercial or on a TV show or a movie or something like that. It's just there aren't a lot of platforms, I guess, now. I mean, the great thing about the internet is that anyone can put stuff out there, but at the same time, anyone can put stuff out there. So it's just like, how do you stand out? So it's nice to at least, if nothing else, have someone in your corner, someone who's going to back you and someone to represent you. And it definitely helps with the presentation so they could at least work with you on the business end of things, and hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes well with that relationship and that you guys continue to grow with that, even with nobody going out there and touring at the moment right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where, I've come to learn, and I definitely think it was Ben Johnson who kind of instilled this into our minds, is when you focus on creating a good product and, conducting yourself in a certain regard and not accepting anything but a certain quality, everything else, success or getting signed and stuff like that, that's all a byproduct of doing the hard work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it definitely helps that, I mean, even though that person isn't with you anymore, that you had that manager early on, and to have a little bit of representation, though, that definitely helps. Not that the talent wasn't there, I'm saying, but it's just there's always steps, and sometimes it's less about how good you are versus who you know, but you also, it helps to be good, which you guys are good. So
oh, thanks, man.
So that works out. But yeah, so obviously I imagine you guys are sort of in a holding pattern, waiting for things to clear up, so you can hopefully, fingers crossed, that offer with Smile Empty Soul is still on the table. That's been a veteran band who's been out there working the road for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So you guys, do you have one EP or two EPs out? I'm trying to remember.
Well, they had a demo out when I first joined the band. They were still kind of doing, the cycle on that, if you will. Mm-hmm. I mean, all those songs have since been pulled, but, Joey wanted to get a band together, so, he got some guys, he cut a couple tracks, in a local studio, and, they were on their way, but, it was just so vastly different from our last release, to where we didn't think that the previous stuff, would be a good representation if someone found that first,
right,
instead of the newer stuff, and it just immediately turned them off.
You want to get that good first impression right away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but, the demo, it served its purpose, and, it got the wheels rolling, for Joey, and, really put them on the path to where I collided paths, we met Ben, and, put us where we are now.
There you go. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was looking at the videos for Bury My Demons and what was it? Is Your Story Over?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, both pretty good, really good videos. I see that there are a couple others on your YouTube channel. I recognize that you worked with Kill Devil Films, which is Thomas Crane.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I've known Thomas for a little bit. His band and my band, he was in the band Marion Crane, and later in Together in Exile, and so he and I, we go back a couple years. He's a good guy. He definitely focuses on sort of like the horror end of filmmaking, but obviously this guy's been been pretty prolific as far as making music videos goes. How was that experience shooting those videos?
I mean, with Thomas, it's always so great because, obviously our music has a little bit of that darker feel and darker tinge to it. And we'll kind of draw out a sketch idea, a concept, if you will, and bring it to Thomas, and he'll stew on it and he'll elevate it. It's a complete collaboration. But, it just evolves naturally, bouncing ideas off of each other. And, he makes it feel like there's no pressure at all when it's, your take. And it's always a fun atmosphere with Thomas.
Absolutely. Yeah, he definitely has that cinematic flair to a lot of his stuff, which is really cool. And they look like mini movies, basically, which is cool to have that end of it. So that's awesome, man. So I'm really glad that, especially for a band that's been around a relatively short time, you guys are making some moves. You got some really great veteran guys in there, like Bobby and Ben, and obviously Joey's been there from the beginning. Yeah, so it's definitely a lot for a guy like you to learn from. Not that you don't know what's going on already, but
I'm absorbing everything
no doubt.
I can to learn,
Exactly, because those guys have the experience. You've got the youth factor coming up, and so it's a good mix to have for sure. But yeah, man, I definitely wish you guys continued success as you keep on doing your thing, and hopefully as things open up a little bit more, that you guys will be able to get that tour, and hopefully keep making some more music and some more videos and all that good stuff. So where can people find yourself and New Dilemma on social media?
At New Dilemma Band, newdilemma.com, and on our YouTube, New Dilemma Band. Shit, might be.
No, go
they
for
can
it.
find us on all major platforms at New Dilemma Band on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, what have you, and at our website, newdilemma.com. We have some cool stuff going on over there and new merch, so yeah.
Good deal, man. Good deal. And like I said, I'll have to get you, Bobby, and Barrett on for like a Kiss roundtable chat one of these days.
Oh, I would love to do a Kiss podcast.
Just something, because I was thinking about, and we didn't get to do it, but I was almost thinking about, man, wouldn't it be great to do like a watch along for Kiss Meets the Phantom for Halloween? Maybe next year. Who knows?
Yeah, I painted my face, and then, we kind of decorated the house for my little nephew, and he actually knew what I was, because I'm always playing Kiss on the TV, and he likes Peter, though. Yeah. Peter, Eric Singer, whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's young, so he identifies.
Yeah, it's Cat. He knows what that is.
Exactly.
All right, Clyde, this has been awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been fun.
Thanks once again to Clyde from New Dilemma for coming on and just giving a great history of what he and New Dilemma have been able to do in such a short amount of time. It's pretty impressive. I went to their social media, and according to their Facebook, apparently they have for their new EP, Is Your Story Over, the title track, Is Your Story Over, has charted at number 27 on the Billboard mainstream rock radio charts and number 10 on Foundation's rock radio charts. Like, that's amazing. So all the best to Clyde and Ben and Bobby and Joey and New Dilemma. It seems like these guys have a really bright future ahead of them, and I definitely wish them nothing but success. And check them out at newdilemma.com. That'll have links to all their various social media. And thank you, as always, for tuning in and listening. Man, I've had such a really great run of guests in the last couple months. It's been really fantastic getting to do this again. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, as always. You can always email me at jackconnorpodcast@gmail.com. Can like me on Facebook at facebook.com/jackconnormusic, on Twitter at jackxconnor, on Instagram at jackxconnor. You can check out my band, Vertebreaker, at facebook.com/vertebreakerband, or my other band, Mature Musical Pictures, at maturemusicalpictures.com. And make sure when you subscribe, you hit the notification bell so you know when new episodes show up. as always, feel free to keep leaving comments and suggestions, and because I want to make sure I make this the best podcast it can possibly be, and it wouldn't be that without you guys listening. So I thank you. Anyways, this has been the Phoenix Report. I'm Jack Connor. I'll see you later. Bye.